Hello guys, today we're gonna study a small topic of physics that is called kinematics or the motion of particles. So kinematics deals with the motion of bodies around the world or around the space. First of all, let us see the basic definitions of kinematics involved. As you can see that in this we have a body here is being acted upon by something called denoted by F and is called the force, and thus it has a acceleration as well as a velocity. And when the, it has a velocity, then it covers some s or some distance. This velocity can also be called as speed of the particle. So what all did we know? That F is called the force, A is called the acceleration, V is called the speed or velocity, and S is called distance or displacement of the particle, right? So these are the main kinematic variables that you will find here. Now let us discuss what is displacement first. Now before you look at my lecture, it is very important that you study what is vectors. Let me give you a brief introduction of what is vectors. Consider this is a line with this thing which is very important here. Then this thing is called a vector. This is a vector. And if here this point here is defined as some O or some fixed point and it denotes an R, then it is denoted by R vector. A vector is nothing but a mathematical definition that denotes a direction as well as a magnitude. Also, it is also very important to note that how this vector is denoted. Now, you should consider the various cases. We draw a perpendicular here and we draw a line joining this one here, and this is 90 degree, and let it be R, and the magnitude of this vector be R, then the component of this vector will be R cos theta. Yeah, in this line here, in this line, and the vertical direction will be R sin theta. Then there are predefined unit vectors or of magnitude 1, which can be called I cap and j cap, and therefore we can write R vector as R cos theta I cap plus R sin theta j cap. You get it? Now there is another definition which is also called the point definition. Let us suppose that it is denoted by some p points x1, y1, z1, and this is denoted by some q points x2, y2, z2. Then also R vector can be defined as x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap plus z2 minus z1 k cap. Please note that this I cap is along the x-axis and this j cap is along the y-axis. This vector should not be used in any other direction except this. Since we are now only considering about xy plane, we would take only I and j axis. I or j, I cap and j cap. There is another vector which is denoted by k cap, and this is denotes the z-axis, right? We will talk about it later. Now let us go into displacement. Well, displacement is, as you can see, the distance covered by the particle in terms of vector form in Riemann terms. Displacement is a wild criteria. It is the actual path. It is not the actual path traveled by the particle. The actual path traveled by the particle is called the distance, but displacement denotes that how far it went. Right? Let us first consider rectilinear motion, in which it is moving from one x1, y1, z1 to x2, y2 and z2. Therefore, the distance then travel, let us say, is s. Then x vector is denoted as x2 minus x1 I cap plus y2 minus y1 j cap plus z2 minus z1 k cap. Now in case it is in the xy plane and it makes an angle theta with the positive direction of x-axis, then we can write this definition here, that mod of s vector into cos theta j cap plus mod of s vector sin theta j cap is equal to this. Now here mod of s vector is called the distance traveled by it. Therefore, if we take the mod of this, then it will come out to be s is equal to under the root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square plus z2 minus z1 whole square, which is called the distance traveled by the particle. But it is very important to note that this formula of distance is not applicable in some condition. Let us see what is the condition. Well, it is the condition of circular motion. In circular motion, let us suppose that it is at some point A here and it reaches some point B here. Then the displacement vector is this vector, which I have denoted by the black line, and the highlighted path is the distance traveled. As you can see that the mod or the value of x vector will not be equal to s. That is, s vector mod will not be equal to s vector in distance. This is in terms of circular motion. Okay, now let us move on with one very important thing, that is velocity. Now what is velocity? First of all, if you have learned calculus, then and you must have done a various type of question in which velocity and displacement are used, and we know that v vector is dr vector by dt vector, where dx by dt denotes the change of x with respect to time, or more precisely, the instantaneous change of x with respect to time, and that is velocity, instantaneous. If we consider velocity average, then it would be delta r vector by delta t. So the rate of change of r vector is given by v vector, which I have drawn here. So if the r vector is changing, if v vector is denoted by this, then r vector may be changing in this direction or any direction, but the v vector will be denoted by this, and v vector is again can be denoted in terms of I cap, j cap and k cap. Now, so if we have learned about velocity, we must know that what is the most famous called speed, difference between speed and velocity. But to tell you, there is not much difference between speed and velocity, as it by distance. The difference between distance and displacement, we can say that the amount of v vector is called the speed. Like if you are going at a speed of 60 km per hour, then if you just put the directions into picture, then it will turn out to mean velocity. So that is the main difference between speed and velocity. Here v is the speed and v vector is the velocity. Now in my next lecture I will tell you about acceleration and force, which are together used as a subpart of Newton's laws of motion. So just revise these topics from any book of your choice and please give a quick glance on the topic of acceleration. That's all guys for the physics tutorial.